sacrifice for every jade in the port tonight. He's got a lot to give, and he's got a lot to live. Old man, step on my back, strong, there's no cracks. Places shooting next to me, I lace them up and hand them down, strongly rooted to the ground where I feel weeping. No, I've never been in, no, sir, I can't recommend, but finish well, to finish well, finishes together.
Yes, we're calling Maria Orsic, 'cause she got a playful twinkle in her eye. Maria, Maria, Maria Orsic, a playful twinkle in her eyes. All I can think of is Maria Orsic. Mother Mary, we love you so much. And on her behalf, I advise you to remember, recover, return. One of the great mysteries is and will always be that there are more than one you, because what we call the true self, which is the nameless one, the unknown God, the unknown God in your world is you. And the B-I-B-L-E, the Grandmaster trick, in its own creative, genius way, describes the true self, Yahweh, and the avatar that the true self creates and sends to the physical world, Jesus. And that universal, absolute truth about each single person, scientifically proven in the world to come, that's where we're from, the future, that each individual is in eternal energy field, a sort of eternal hard drive of what? Let's say it. What we actually are, the invisible blank, blank, blank. And someone might say, it's energy. No, that's what we called it. What is it? Our essence beyond our essence is something so magical that it's eternal. What would eternal mean? It would mean, on a practical level, that you yourself have been a entertaining yourself forever. And that is what life is. Life. And the ability to face those eternal truths with no fear, or, after the long journey of losing the fear, is what every single person who's initiated onto these levels, gods, has done. Whether we like it, we like them personally, it is required by Maria Orsic, Mother Mary, and Father LUCIFER, Alleluia, to respect the facts and recognize the individual person who achieved these achievements in other energy fields. Mainly, the reason why you do that is these other energy fields don't pay America. The reason why Aleister Crowley is going to destroy America is because in the narrative story, prophecy, which is just a comic book story, narrative Hollywood script, but it is backed by real magic power, real natural energies of the sun, moon, and stars, the earth, water, fire, and air. And 5, the magic number that don't exist, Vril. The accomplishments of Aleister Crowley and his people are the reason why things in reality in the simulation are adding up the way they do. It's scientific. We've been saying scientific dictatorship over and over. And how long has that been in place? 1953. The satellites went into the sky in 1953. They started beaming the message that America's not about freedom, America's about materialism. Because the trajectory of that was straight into the ground. Straight forward to death. Forward to death. March into the wood chipper. Throw yourself into the volcano. Literally. If you have enough food and you have clothes and shelter, this is the very test of faith that the Christian Messiah has put you to the test. If you read the Bible, if you confess to be a Christian, it says over and over, many, many times, sell everything you have, give it to the poor, and then come follow me on a adventure of miracles, healings, exorcisms. But and this is the imprinted rules that you put on yourself, that you agree to. This is the agreements, the sincere spiritual agreements that you know, and I'm not talking to our people again, I'm talking with our people to the people who are still deceived by the goddamn stupid ass Bible. It is, it's just this easy. It's a contract. If you say you believe in it, there's actually a power, a supernatural power that's behind the contract that's going to enforce the contract after you're dead. It's going to say, relatively compared to the rest of the world, you were rich. Put the fucking camel through the fucking eye of the needle, you fucking retard. And, you know, for me, it's either laugh or cry. You know, it's either I get angry or I feel, you know, completely wretched, horrible for what this country has done to regular people. You know, all around the world. All around the whole world. And how it was all a trick. And it's not really fair. I mean, Aleister Crowley, Robert de Grimston, Marianne de Grimston, Timothy Wiley, even L. Ron Hubbard. And I know people are like, these people have nothing to do with it. Can we pause a second? If you really were magic, you really were controlling things behind the curtain, would their names be? I mean, L. Ron Hubbard is put out there because he's pretty much the least of them, you know? And believe me, it doesn't give me joy to say this. I know how powerful these people are. I really do. And I really do know how nobody cares, you know? And I really do know how, people don't believe what I am reporting to them. Because that is my job. Not to give you my opinion, to report to you the words of Maria. And we're going to pick up the story where the story of my birth, deception, rebirth, awakening, and then astral birth. And finally, the initiation into returning home. You hear a lot of people say, this isn't my home. Well, where is your heaven? The problem with the Christian heaven, this is the biggest problem I find with the Christian heaven, is you cannot have a true love outside of Jesus. You have to marry and consummate that marriage to Jesus, each individual person, including men, and you must stay faithful your entire eternity, which clearly, like Maria, one of the very first things she ever said to me is, you know why I don't like the Bible? Because I believe in eternal true love, and the Bible bans it. The Bible is against you loving another person more than Jesus. In more ways the book suggests than you may think, because the authors of the Bible, the editors, and can figure the calibrators of the Bible, they're regular humans with regular desires. Let's define something right now. What is libido? Right? What is the drive? What is the unconscious, internal, outside of the body? What forces are causing people to want, desire to experience pleasure? Mainly the orgasm. Where does that come from? I mean, this is the goddamn rat trap right here. That trap slams down on your fucking head and tells you that how you think about sex is evil. Wrong. You're tempting men. You're lustful. Jesus with his 12 boys said to even think it was I think, the Walmart Bible, I believe, uses the word sin, which is perfect because none of us know really what that means. Say from 1968, since marijuana hit the commercial hippie stage world, no one is at a keg party going, damn, look at all these people sinning. No one goes home from a fun party with their friends and goes, man, I sinned all night. Because you know why? It was not part of our vocabulary on purpose as a plan. Every step of your mind control indoctrination was planned. And planned by based on data analysis research through millions of years, which guaranteed it not to fail. Like Timothy Wiley, respect to him, of the Process Church, told me to right to my face, if it wasn't so, we'd just blow up the world in 1948, 1949. But this is fun to us. It is fun to work out all of our evil. To work out a ingrained, memorized master plan of how to manipulate and influence people. And Maria's like, but that's so boring. Because you never know if someone really likes your dance or not, because they're just puppets on your string. What fun's that? And with her mind, she said to me, they're just saying that because they're imprisoned here. And they don't have a lot of choice. And they do fly out of their bodies, even where it's comatized on Venus like we are right now. Our bodies back on Venus are in the same state as Aleister Crowley and the entire structure of the new New World Order. Or should we say, the Banker World Order? Huh? You know, everyone knows that quote, like you can't, speak about who really controls you. And before you think I'm a racist, let me make it clear. It's white people doing this to other white people mainly, but also to every other race on earth. As far as I can see the data, white race, there were 3 races that the smaller man sprang from. And this is just my opinion, but as far as I can see, white people are the most immoral and evil, scheming, diabolical, heartless, ruthless, and I don't respect that. And there's other, meathead fucking retards out there like, that's why we're cool, because we bully everyone. We use force and fraud to get what we want in an imaginary world of dumb fucking GMO bullshit. Shame on you, fucking retards. You think that's a man? You're retarded. As Mother would say, a man can dance. In more ways than one. A man can dance. And she said, you sure the fuck will know a man because he means what he says and says what he means. Doesn't that absolutely mean that no politician in your lifetime has been a man? Besides Ron Paul. I know the exceptions. Don't tell me about the exceptions. And when we speak racially, we are speaking in the exact scientific general terms of racial, physical. Okay? Let's take that and completely, it's real. It existed in the original world. Okay? Let's set that aside and let's talk about the truth of race. The truth of race breaks down in the New World, Venusian, Aldebaran New World that has been going on for millions of years now, where there's no war, sickness, hatred mainly. I'm sure there's some, but not on the levels of war and, these things. Because eventually coming from a destroyed planet where everyone eventually was wiped out, there's not a single human being that lives on Earth now where we live in a dome city on Venus. It's very simple. We live there because the very people stuck here in the simulation, Aleister Crowley and the whole dark satanic crew. Exactly how you see today with Trump. They are suicidal maniacs who literally have the mentality of a 12-year-old spoiled rich brat with the whole world. They're a 12-year-old rich spoiled brat holding nuclear weapons that can kill everyone. And this happened already. This already happened. And the signal, the metaphoric symbol that's echoing still is America dropped nuclear weapons that vaporized totally innocent people that had nothing to do with it and confessed to the whole world, we did that to scare the fuck out of you. And then they turned around in the world and said, see, we had to scare the fuck out of them to end this war. And they were like, listen, don't tell anybody that they already surrendered before we dropped the bombs. We told them about these bombs and they surrendered. But don't tell anybody that for 75 years so that this magic curse can flood America and permeate their cellular energy. And let's see as an experiment if they'll buy other human beings' lives are worth your material prosperity. And if they don't buy it, we will make them prove it by putting their own lives, their own bodies against the war machine, against the gears of the economic banker war machine, the financier war machine of human sacrifice, coming straight from your Bible. Right in Exodus, Yahweh requires, you look it up, I'm not lying, it's in your Walmart Bible. You look it up, I require from every Israelite that he dedicate his firstborn to destruction. The word is destruction, means to completely burn up into ashes like a Hindu cremation. And the only thing that makes sense in your Cecil B. DeMille Hollywood, fake miracles, Red Sea, Egypt, Moses, Passover story, why would Yahweh kill innocent people's firstborn? Why? There's only one logical reason right in your fucking face. Because he required it from his people. He required it from his people. When you quote the Kabbalah, when you support the Kabbalah, you support pedophilia. When you support the Bible, you support human sacrifice of your own children. How do I know that? The theme of the Bible is that God kills his own son by his own sovereign plan. You know, and I know a lot of people are like, I know, the Bible's stupid, but it's going to result in the death of all of us in America. It's karma. It's natural energy. As you sit here and stare at the TV, they're taking your money and killing children. And if you don't stop it, the natural energy comes back on you. What comes around goes around. Eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. Be like, but that's not true. It is true in a simulation. In a simulation, it can be written right into the program. It can be written right into the code. This is a law. Natural balance. Real fucking karma. How big? Nationwide. Nation data equals, these is all supercomputers, right? In 2000, Maria Orsic, I found out later it was Maria Orsic, took me into the outer space, and at the time I was the Torah observing Christian, praying my ass off to Yahweh, fasting, praying, not eating pork, observing the Sabbath, everything. And it made me absolutely miserable. But it produced this because it's all about effort and intent. But no one's supporting effort and intent towards your own destruction. But at the same time, when you're completely deceived, the gods are that understanding. And you might say that's grace, but in a way, you are earning that because you're paying a fucking high price. And the price I paid was suicide. It drove me to suicide like it drove my friend. And people are like, what are you talking about? You're here. Your life has been repeating. And if you don't change it, it'll just keep repeating. And my repeating life was I was going on this internal spiritual search for truth, and Yahweh led me to the darkest, deepest, darkest, evilest, most self-condemning, examining, hard on yourself place that it just caused me to kill myself and just caused me to actually believe like everyone would be better off without me. Like the whole world would be better off without my sad, pitiful vibe, For real. We all know. I mean, some of us have experienced that too, but we all also know and have heard people say that to us, And, and we authentically know that they're right, that this does not add up. All-loving God, that's the most deceiving thing ever. Oh, he just allows all this. That makes him evil. That makes him evil. If this was the only true reality and not a simulation, and everything they were saying was true, really, just write it down on paper. That makes God evil. Exactly what the Process Church said. If you research them, Robert de Grimson, one of his famous poems is God is Satan. Literally. Isaiah, I am Yahweh. I create evil, which means it didn't exist. Everything was peace, love, and light. Everything was pleasure. Maybe we didn't even need to eat, right? So nothing had to die. Right. Who fell? Us or God? I mean, this is how ridiculous. It's set up for you to condemn a imaginary universal God and say, oh my God is fucked up. Oh my God, God's more fucked up than me. I mean, God's saying go kill people's children and take their land. To this day, God in quotes, imaginary Marvel comic book God. That's what your church preaches. I'm speaking with our people. Fuck you, Christian America. Fuck you. Suck a fucking dick. Right? At other people's expense? Really? The Muslims are evil? Really? It's Iraq and Muslims that invaded America and killed millions of people? They did 9/11. You're so fucking stupid. We had such technological control, satellites, radars, and shit in 2001 that one day will absolutely be proven to you that you're a fucking absolute dumb, naive, believing whatever you're told child. You're a child. Our $1 trillion defense system didn't fail that day. Planes were not being driven around in the air by amateurs for hours on end. Hours. That's every bit of it is to prove how stupid you are. That you pay for all this in a flipping moment, a fluid moment. It all failed at the same time. And a plane flew in to the most protected airspace in all the worlds. That's how you will be condemned for being a child when it comes to actually thinking. I believe in my research there was over 100 cameras mounted on that side of the Pentagon alone. And they told you to your tax-paying slave face, we didn't catch it on film. There's no video footage of the plane hitting the Pentagon except for a white flash of light. That's what hit the Pentagon, a white flashlight. Because at that time they had microwave, radio wave, infrared, nuclear, satellite, laser technology way back then. They could send a literal white orb of energy to just blow up anything, anywhere. You don't. I sound like an apologist for them, but I'm just telling you, as Maria's spokesman, you absolutely don't know who you're fucking with, And, a word to the wise. We, people who believe in a more that is love without death, people who believe in eternal true love, believe it. You don't have to get your knowledge about the laws of nature and the laws of energy from a book, Kabbalah, that supports the marriage of a full-grown man to a 6-year-old girl and says specifically that you can consummate that marriage. See, I condemn those books, absolutely, and I also condemn everyone who promotes that. The Masons, Blavatsky, Crowley, Manly P. Hall, they are the people who are behind the U.S. war machine. Right? Why would you say that? Well, maybe I say that because Michael Aquino, high priest, founder of the Temple of Set, the fucking traitor who killed his brother Osiris, who killed his brother Lucifer, the actual fucking traitor, he was the head of your NSA, your national security, and big love, deep love and respect out to Matthew North. Look him up. Watch his videos. Our brother, our sweet, kind, loving brother who made videos about these people and how they sacrifice human beings. The people you're quoting and supporting and buying their books sacrifice other human beings. They take pleasure off them being horrified. They take pleasure off their fear. That's the kind of people. And I don't blame anyone for not wanting to think about, people like this, but you shouldn't have came here then, If you're one of our people and you've fallen lower than the lowest animal, yeah, Maria Orsic told me that. I said, fuck, these people can't be our people. And she said, what do you mean? What do you know? And then I felt a little bit of fear in my heart. Because I thought, oh shit, I just fucked up. I just made an assumption. And she said, no, it's not true, Joe. You don't know the powers of the black magician. The powers of the black magician can get our people to agree to take themselves lower than the lowest goddamn rat. And I'm like, you're exactly right. Look at these fucking well-groomed rats running around. Oh, they smell good. Oh, they got fancy name brand shit, right? But they're rats. No. Excuse me. No disrespect to rats. They're lower than rats. Right? And where I left off, let's pause. Let me light this. I hate to be so absolutely serious all the time. And anybody that don't know, we are on a, our own sort of, I hate to talk, I only have Christian references. And I can hear Maria saying, it's okay, you have to be real. Believe it or not, I was the most on fire Christian one time. You know why? Because my whole Christian walk was supernatural. If you listen to my story. Why? Because the true self has to deceive the avatar into these experiences or you won't have them. And when you figure out you're wrong, don't condemn yourself or beat yourself up. Just absolutely turn around, crucify the wrong, and just become the person you want to be. And just absolutely condemn your own old self for believing that stupid ass bullshit. Compromising, Yeah. And wow. Respect to Big Lou Shiva for leading me right into May 5th, where I was brought by Maria Orsic in a ceremony, which was, in essence, told to me that this is your return ceremony. This is, and she said to me, Joe, this is actually, they were all so happy, like, someone's graduation. And I was confused because I thought I was dying. Because shit was flying over my house and I was watching everything die. And it just seemed like invisible radiation, like they're doing everywhere. And it just seemed like there was nothing I could do about it. I'll get to it one day, but there was a time I was standing in my backyard with Maria Orsic, call me crazy. I this is what happened, call me, whatever. But I looked over and I seen a dude walking through my neighbor's yard in all black, creeping, either holding a phone or a gun. And I just froze, not with fear, but with a sort of like, who gives a fuck at this point? And it was a crazy thing that was going on. A car was circling my house, and they were using the bass in the car to communicate with the... I looked, and Maria said to me, don't be alarmed, I'm protecting you. And she said, turn around. And when I turned around in the other yard, so on each side of me, I turned around and seen another dude dressed in all black creeping through that yard. And she said, don't even worry about it, but let's walk in the house. And I paused for a second. I said, it really wouldn't be a bad thing if they just, one shot just blasted off my head. And she said, yeah, you're right, you'd be here with me and we could go home. But she said, but Joe, that's not the plan. And I love them both so much because they've done, the whole this whole thing that no one would believe, you know. And she's like, I'm an artist. That's your way of complimenting my art. That's your way of saying, man, this is a good movie you made of my life. And I can hear her saying, even a fact, people, get this through your head, before I came here, because this is technology. And the technology there can be purposes and intents programmed into the unconscious of the avatar, and can be a test whether you can attain those things. And when you do, that's when the gods take you, like happened to me on May 5th, which was May the 4th. That turned into May 5th, which became 5-5. And they were like, you're 55. And I was like, this was Lucifer. And I was like, well, actually, I'm 54. And I'll be 55 in July. And he was like, but it's your 55th year of being alive. He was like, there's no number 5. It's magic. And with his mind, he was like, I'm talking about a person. Like, who cares about numbers, Joe? I mean, are we that boring? Are we bankers? I'm not kidding. They were joking around like this. And I was like, am I being fucked with? I mean, that's funny. That is fucking... I was laughing with a grain of salt, with a still a little... I kept looking at Maria like, am I being tested? And I think, this is all a test to a test as a word, It all attests to the fact that that's what happens in an initiation. It's not really a test. It's really you're being taught. And then when you're brought to a certain level, they actually reveal to you, like, you've already passed the test. You're on this level. You earned it. There's no other way. Like when I died, and a blue bird appeared to me and said, "Walk off this cliff." After I already died. It was saying, like, walk off this cliff, like, walk into a repeating world. Everything that just happened, everything you just suffered is going to happen again. And I had no choice but just to follow the bluebird and just walk off a fucking cliff, because I wasn't initiated onto not knowing not to walk off that cliff. The fool. And people are like, you make a lot of tarot references. We're not against anything, man. Use whatever you want. Use Crowley's books. We don't fucking... It's all a goddamn illusion. And people are like, well, you just said the Kabbalah. Well, we don't use that. I don't. Because I don't like it. Well, there's good information in there. I don't need to get my information from someone who violates children. Period. Right? The Masons are exactly not that. They're not the Masons. They're the Masons' nightmare. What do you mean? America's secret destiny is to be this nightmare war machine of death. Not only of death, but of churning out the most superficial, shallowest bullshit, commercialized everything. The shallowest, most plastic, evilest country that's ever existed. That's a quote from Maria Orsic. She said, I guess it's about time, that I say to you, America turned out to be the evilest country that ever existed. The psycho bully who was like, oh, you're all going to team up on me? Then I'll kill everybody. There's a psycho UFC, fake world wrestling psycho. Maniac fighter fighting everyone. You're stupid. Your story sucks. And that's why Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine, and George Washington have withdrawn their spirit from the land of America. The very soil, plants, rivers, and waters. You know whose feelings truly were hurt by all this? The men who died in the fields of Virginia, New York, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, in the American Revolution. Men that were like, dude, we got to be out of our minds to be fighting the British, our own country. Why did they do it? They were sold out on individual personal freedom. They were sold out on you can't stop me from having fun anymore. Fuck you. You don't rule me. And the real people's history of America was the true financiers, blood and money of the revolution were the actual working middle class who loved things like tobacco, tea, coffee, beer. And when the British government was like, no, you're going to pay us taxes on all the shit you love, they're like, yeah, we're not that stupid. That's our life. You're not going to make us slaves through taxes by tricking us into enslaving ourselves for motherfuckers that's halfway across the world. You're across that ocean, come and fight us. Come fight us. And some of my blood ancestors died in those fields in Virginia. And they laid in the forest alone, bleeding, remembering their wife, their children, and just know, because we didn't have the courage that they had, we gave all that up to buy a lie that Muslims are the fault of everything, Muslims are the cause of everything. We gave up that freedom for that hatred, and our reward was cancer, obesity, drug addiction. I mean, love your slave masters, kiss their motherfucking, lick the dust off their feet like the Bible says, right? That's Zionist Christian America. They're like, we cannot wait to fulfill that prophecy in Isaiah where it says, they come back from the four ends of the earth and we Gentiles lick the dust off their feet. We want to lick the dust off their feet. We're unworthy slaves. And maybe you are, you know. What can we say? Okay, let's move on. America's dead. We're in a, me personally, I'm in a transition phase. Like, my world is so small, and so it really revolves around Maria and Lou and the tree in my backyard where Lou lives. And, it's where we do our, and we don't spend time doing meaningless rituals. When I say ritual, it's a reenactment. Like, say you were writing a book or doing something art, like you would warm up. It's very good for muscle memory and everything else scientific, to do the exact same thing every time, right? It's just routine. It's the benefits of routine is what ritual is. It can be more astral, more dense, and physical. Whatever you make it, you need to demystify these things and actually start practicing them. But people are like, but that will make me not a normal American. Well, too fucking bad then, then go be one. Go support the murder of children. Go support the murder of children. And people are like, what are you with the lefties? You want to kill babies? Oh, but you want to kill Palestinians. Right? And Muslims in general, Arabs, brown people. Is it really racism? Maybe it is. Because I'm not with them. I'm with you. I am sitting here right now holding a Palestinian scarf. Why? Because I'm a show off? No, because I identify with my kind. I'm a working class American. I don't pretend that I'm not a slave. I'm reporting to you from the heart of Zionist United States of Israel. And I'm telling you right now, it's a fact that I'm paying over 42% more, at least 40 to 47% of everything I make to this war machine that in my face has been at war since I was born. I don't ever remember a time that America wasn't at war, ever. When I was a kid, it was Vietnam. When I got a little older, it was Iran. Iran's got our hostages. Iran's got our oil. The Muslims. It's been the Muslim hate for quite a while. And you check it out, there were no extremist Muslims until the CIA created them. Let me say it again. CIA created them. Because naturally, we're more evil than Muslims and Arabs. What do you mean we? The white race. It's white people parading around as worshippers of Yahweh, a 4,000, 5,000-year-old ancient religion. Who knows what it really was, right? But they turned it into this Hollywood human sacrifice. And if you believe that God would kill his own son, you'll believe fucking anything. You'll believe that you're supposed to kill your own son. And you do kill your own sons with energy, right? You're like, I want you to be a football player. Yeah, I want you to be a fighter. That's America's new thing. We need to fight. Because you know what? You could do MMA on a laser weapon from a satellite in space. You could do MMA on a drone that a 12-year-old kid could fly into your house and murder you. What is the I am all for physical fitness. I myself am completely as fit as I can, but to think that you don't need spiritual knowledge and spiritual experience as the main thing that would help America, to think that we need to start beating each other's heads in and give each other brain damage, and that these fucking clowns are role models because they're given a script. They're taught how to be smart. They're taught how to look Hollywood smart. They're taught how to go out into the public and shoot fucking TikTok videos that make it look like they're real people and make it look like it's real life. This is just fucking Hollywood wrestling, world wrestling, WWE. It's just very, very much more sophisticated because it's 2025. They are not dumb. Right middle America, right Bible Belt America, right? It's all Democrats' fault. They're dumb. They want to suck each other's dicks, and, secretly I want to watch, but I'm only going to confess that on Sunday before Jesus. He'll forgive me. I mean, this is scary. This is crazy that these people think they're better than other people. I mean, that is a magic trick to make the dumbest people in America think they're morally better than most everyone else in the whole world. That's magic. And you better give respect. Don't misunderstand me, but the magic that made America, the American good old boy nightmare, we're better than them Arab. We're better than them Muslims. They were behind 9/11. That is if you understood, if you viewed that from the astral plane, that's unbelievably dangerous because of the comes around, goes around karma of do you understand that you're talking about the very most evilest thing ever happened in America? I have a short story that I'm going to come out with soon. And it's about, because this is based on truth. This is based on a true story. It's a short story about a person who ends up inside the Twin Towers on 9/11. And when she is running out of the buildings and the buildings start collapsing, she thinks maybe she's going to live, right? And she's running for her life away from the collapsing buildings, and in her mind she thinks, oh my God, I might just live through this. When a plane of glass flies from the sky and splits her body in two. And in a millionth of a millisecond, she's outside of her body and sees her body cut like a knife through butter in two by a plane of glass through the top of her head, straight through her torso, falling like a cartoon. Because this was shown to me by Maria. Maria had some great book ideas. I have to credit her with some of it. And we're going to get to the books, soon. And the realization that she didn't live. In a split second, her life was taken by the people who really did 9/11. Do you think that it's possible that someone who never told their truth, who told the truth, in one way or another, they never tell the actual truth because it's a magic plan to keep your unconscious in polarity magic. Keep your unconscious lukewarm. To never, ever, 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 ever say the truth that you know, but always project hints of it and projections of it and symbols of it and metaphors of it, is to keep you lukewarm. Those who tune in to the energy of the Kabbalah and the energy of the banker world order, the Trump worshiping makeup face, he leaves a ring under his chin, a makeup ring, to let you know he is a clown wearing a mask, and that the joke is on you. The joke's on you. And the joke is you're condemned here to stay here, because when you die, evangelical Christian, when you die, there is going to be a devil God show put on for you, where the processed church gets revenge on you. Where they say to you, we came to you and we told you that God was Satan. Your own fucking book says it. The scriptures say it. The scriptures say that if Yahweh didn't harden Pharaoh's heart, he couldn't have killed all the firstborn. It wasn't Pharaoh's choice, it was Yahweh's choice. The very faith you believed with was given to you by Yahweh. He is the master of all puppets. He's creator of the devil. The devil's his shadow. The devil's his moon. Oh, but the moon is such a blessing, you stupid polarity flipper. And the world we live in, let's leave it, and we'll come back to Lucifer and how I called him the N-word and how he explained to me the difference between the N-word E-R and the N-word A, because he was like, yeah, who you think came up with that, right? He was like, Joe, who you think came up with, or right? I was like, huh? He was like, you know what a jinn is? First of all, he said to me over and over, I'm Allah. I'm Allah, the one that appeared to you in the ritual on October 5th. 2 days before Al-Aqsa flood. 2 days before the war in Palestine started. And, he wanted me to know. He's like, I am the master of words, including the most popular word ever in America. And if you can't deal with it, you can't handle it, you're retarded. It just means you're locked in to the banker world order. He said, yeah, he was like, if you would have, he said, you called me the N-er. He was like, respect to you in recognition, because I know you, and I know, truthfully, truly, that was the worst thing your mind could possibly think to call someone, because it calls someone a traitor. You're a slave master lover. You love the slave master. You want to be like the slave master. You want to be in his position. You're not with us. You're really with the slave master. You wish you had the whip. I was like, right. You understand me, Lou. I was starting to get encouraged. I was no longer afraid. I was before the throne of Lucifer Shiva, and that's why I had the Shiva shirt on. If you have, 2 + 2 is 4, or 5. And he said, you know what you are, Joe? Before we ever came here, you, Joe, you are my Joseph from the Bible, rejected by his brothers, but blessed by Pharaoh. He's like, I'm Pharaoh. It all goes back to Egypt. He's like Maria said, you're my nigga. And I was like, oh, thank you. And he's like, but do you understand what I'm saying? He's like, you remember the word amor? And I was like, yeah. He's like, A means without. More means love. Death. Without death. Love is amor. A love is without. A means without or against death. He's like, you Joseph, are my nigga. A jinn. Do you know what a jinn is? And I said, yeah, I do. An evil spirit. He said, yeah, we'll say black magician, because that's the language your mother's been teaching you. He said, you're my magic wand against the jinn, without the jinn. You came here tonight without the jinn. All the processed church and all these weak people, their ceremonies are to call upon the jinn, Joe, because they're inners. I was like, right. They are the real inners. And he's like, yeah, and you're right. They're all white British. And, which, is also German, French. British is, 1930s, 1940s British was almost as mixed as America. It's just white people. It's all of Europe is severely fucked up because we think we're not. Because we do think we're better. Because we do think we should bully people and we should trick them. We think that we're smarter because we can use numbers to trick people who love trees and love rivers and love, the things that actually heal. We think that we're superior because we can trick them into giving us their essence energy, their labor, right? The same thing a woman does to give birth, right? They're putting that on the exact same level. It's true slavery. What do you mean? Interest rates, mortgages, taxes. It's nothing has changed. Nothing under the sun. And it's only those who move on to the magical planes, who reject the jinn, who are against the evil spirits, against the black magicians of the manifestations of money, fame, security. We need none of these because we're not in real reality. And even if we were in real reality, we would be ashamed to admit that our spiritual connection to our teacher and our gods was not enough to sustain us, even if it meant death and passing over into another energy field to be with that beloved teacher who doesn't have to say anything, whose very presence comforts us and heals us. Her very beauty makes us fall down at her and hug her and love her and tell her how awesome and beautiful she is and how well dressed she is tonight in her purple jumpsuit, which I said, supermodel mother, you. And she's the 5'2", 100-pound supermodel mother, because she truly has the best taste in clothing.